And with that beautiful message of illumination and light, I invite you to open your eyes and bring your awareness back into your body. And we're going to move into another part of the program where we have an incredible, amazing individual changing the lives of so many people on the planet. Her name is Dr. Brooke Goldner, and I want to make sure she's on the Zoom feed with us. Brooke, are you there?
I am here. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful. Well, we are so delighted.
We're doing good because she's here.
I know. And she has some incredible stories to tell and knowledge to share with us. But before we get to the stories and the knowledge, I want to tell everyone, well, Lee and I want to tell everyone about her.
Right. Dr. Brooke Goldner, MD, is a board-certified physician and the founder of goodbyelupus.com. Now, that ought to tell you a lot about what she's known for. She is the creator of the Hypernourishing nutrition protocol for lupus reversal and is the author of 3 best-selling books, Goodbye Lupus, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, and Green Smoothie Recipes to Kickstart Your Health and Healing.
She's been featured in multiple documentaries such as Eating You Alive, Whitewashed, and The Conspiracy Against Your Health. She's also been featured on TV news and the Home and Family Show, as well as many radio shows and podcasts. Dr. Goldner is a highly sought-after keynote speaker, so we're so blessed that she's given up her precious time to be with us, and she shares the stage regularly with other notable doctors.
Dr. Goldner graduated Carnegie Mellon University with honors. I believe that for what she's accomplished for genetic research and leukemia and neurobiology. She's a graduate of the Temple University School of Medicine, was chief resident at UCLA Harbor Residency. And she holds a certificate in plant-based nutrition. I love that part, from Cornell University. Welcome, Dr. Brooke. All of the things that I just said and read in your bio, I really am interested in. Would you tell us, let's just start at the beginning. How did you get interested in all of this?
Well, goodness. So it's not like I suddenly developed an interest in all of this. It's kind of my life story. So before I was a best-selling author or on any TV or radio shows or doing anything like this, before I had a white coat, I was a patient. And so my story really starts back when I was a teenager and I got sick. I started developing problems like migraines, which then led to arthritis, which led to rashes. And finally, at 16 years old, I was having a very bad day with just terrible arthritis and feeling awful, migraines, vomiting. And my parents took me to the emergency room, and the doctor finally figured out my diagnosis, and they diagnosed me with a disease called lupus. And lupus is an autoimmune disease where your immune system, which is supposed to hunt down and destroy invaders like COVID, bacteria, viruses, or help you deal with injuries, well, in lupus, your immune system can get confused and instead hunt down and destroy parts of your own body. And so it was causing the arthritis and the rashes. But also when I went in, they found that I was also in stage 4 kidney failure. So I went from thinking I had aches and pains and rashes and headaches to being told that I had 6 months to live if they didn't do some very aggressive and even experimental treatments. So I was given super high doses of steroids. I was given high doses of hormones to prevent puberty from continuing because the medications that they wanted to give me, like chemotherapy, could actually cause ovarian cancer, sterility, all sorts of things. So I was treated very heavily by the medical world to try to save me because they said if they didn't, then within 6 months, my kidneys would fail completely and I wouldn't make it unless hopefully maybe dialysis was my best choice. So as you can tell, I did make it, but it took a lot of doctors and a lot of medicines and a lot of pain to get through those years. So I had 2 years of chemotherapy, and that eventually helped my kidneys get into a remission. But with lupus, remission doesn't mean that you're not sick. It doesn't mean that you're cured. it basically means you're not currently dying from the illness. So that's really where my entry into the health world began. I mean, I was always a nerd. I always loved science. I love biology, but it really kind of put me on my path to what my purpose would end up being. And at the time, I didn't know why I was so sick or why I was going through it all. I just had to find a way to stay focused and stay purposeful and stay happy in spite of all the things that I was going through in my health. But that was really my goal was, I was being told all this information about how sick I was and how poor the future looked. But I come from a very resilient family that doesn't really listen to those negative stories. My family came here as refugees from World War II. They were Holocaust survivors. And they suffered and starved and lost heavily through the war. And when they came here, it was so that their children could have better. And so even though I was sick and had to take a lot of medicines and had to deal with a lot of pain, I still felt very lucky because my life was better than my family's that were suffering through prison camps in the Holocaust. And I was surrounded by people who loved me. And so that was really how they kept me focused, is that I'm lucky, I have to stay grateful, and I'm not going to die. I am going to have a purposeful life, and I have to pursue my joy and my passion and keep working towards my goals, and not embrace this idea that it was over or that I wouldn't. And that's what I did. And so I just worked harder, studied harder. I might not be able to go in the sun, or I might not be able to go out and do the things other people could do because of my pain or my side effects or my medicines. But one thing I could do was read and study. And that's what I did. And so I still graduated in the top 10 of my class in high school. I got a scholarship to Carnegie Mellon, which is a very prestigious science school. I did research there, but my goal was always just, other people might be able to live a longer life, but I'm going to pack as much life into the years that I have that I can, and I'll live bigger in the small amount of years that I might have than most people live in 100 years. I'm going to love, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to achieve. And that's really what I did. That's what I thought my contribution would be that maybe I would do some genetic research that could help autoimmune disease, or eventually I decided to become a doctor and said, maybe I can teach people with chronic disease how they can live purposeful, beautiful, passionate lives in spite of disease. But I never really thought that I would find some alternative treatment or way of reversing these diseases. That was purely accidental and something that really changed my life completely. And it came from a story of love.
I would love to hear that story of love. And for us, we feel that there are no accidents.
Absolutely.
This was divine guidance.
Oh, she's a person for our time.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
And so what's the story of love that opened up the door to an alternative way to treat lupus?
So what happened was, so as I went through college, I was able to maintain my remission. And again, in remission, I wasn't dying. So my kidneys were stable, but I still needed medication. And I took extra medicine for my migraines and extra medicine for my arthritis, but I was functional. And that was really what mattered most to me. Then I went to medical school, and in medical school, they don't really care about what illnesses you have. You have to work the hours. I couldn't manage my sleep and my stress the same way that I could in college. And I was working at one point 100-hour weeks getting through medical school. They have laws against that now, but not back then. I'm old enough now that I predate those laws that protected us where you couldn't work more than 80 hours a week. But I was working more than that. And there would be days that I'd be all night working in the hospital, come home, pass out, wake up in my scrubs and just get back up and go back in. I'm not proud of it, but I did it sometimes because I was just so exhausted. So I got sick again in medical school, and I started getting double vision. I ended up passing out one day, and it turned out that the lupus now was creating blood clots, and I was having mini strokes while working at the hospital. And so at that point, I was back with the doctors again, and now they said I had to take injections every day for the rest of my life, or I could have a stroke or pulmonary embolism or something else awful. So that was kind of where I was at this point. And it was definitely a harder time for me when I got this sick again in medical school, because the first time I got sick at 16 was, I was a kid. There was no internet. I didn't really understand what I had. I just did what my doctor said. Now, as a medical student, I knew very clearly what I had. And I understood how grave it was that I was progressing. Again, I was in my mid-20s at that point. And, I had the discussions with my doctor that, I'm never going to be able to have children because between the kidney failure and the blood clots, one, the baby probably wouldn't survive, and two, I probably wouldn't survive. It's very dangerous for people with lupus. That I was progressing towards disability and probably would be disabled by my 40s, and the clock was ticking. But so it was a harder thing when that happened. I gave myself about 2 weeks to grieve and cry and get support, and then I went, you know what? I'm still here. So, I kind of thought of myself as a comeback kid, that lupus would knock me down and then I'd be back. You remember those toys from back in the day where you punch it and the pen would go down and come back up again? So that was me. I was just like, boom, and I hit the ground and then I'd come back. I'm like, you know what? I'm still here. I'm still alive. I had just gotten accepted to my first choice of residency at UCLA in California. I wanted to work with the homeless. And I was just very excited for what was next. And I said, you know what? I'm still lucky. How many people live their dream? This has always been my dream. I'm going to be a doctor in another year and a half, and I'm going to get to live my dream. And that's all that matters. And so I was back to my place of just gratitude and happiness for my life, which is where I've always just lived there. The sadness doesn't stick for long because I just am obsessed with happiness. I don't want to waste time. Time is precious for me. So at that point is when I met the man that I ended up marrying, Thomas Tadlock. And that in itself is an amazing story. If you don't believe in accidents, it's pretty incredible how we even met. Maybe if we have time, I'll tell you. But the universe kept putting us in the same spot till we finally got the picture. But we fell in love very quickly. And within a month of meeting each other that time, we knew that we wanted to be married. And, I had to explain to this beautiful, amazing man that I can't have your children. I'm going to become disabled. You're going to have to take care of me before I die young. It's not exactly a romantic response to a wedding or marriage proposal, 28 years old, to tell someone that. And to his credit, my husband said, I'd rather have a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else. And I'll just make it the best darn life you could ever have. And I went, yes, okay, let's do that. So we, because I don't say no to love. I have a lot of patients and clients who feel like it's unfair to have a relationship with somebody if you're sick. That it's unfair to them. And I say, don't decide who gets to love who. If someone wants to love you, then let them love you, right? Like, take all the love, So that's what we did. And we said, we'll just have the best life we can together. And my husband, he's a fascinating guy himself, and his obsession is metabolism. And so he has his own best-selling book, Miracle Metabolism. And his obsession was that there must be an optimal human diet, that it seems like scientists know what giraffes should eat, and they know what lions should eat, and they know what cats should eat and dogs should eat and rabbits should eat, but they don't know what humans should eat. Everyone's got a different idea for diet, and it's not scientific. He's also a Carnegie Mellon guy, and we're very hardcore in the science. So he was obsessing about the best diet for human metabolism, that everyone should be able to have a fast metabolism, lose weight easily, or gain muscle easily. There should be one way. And he was right. And he did discover it. When I met him, he was in the process of discovering it. And so I said, I would like to have a fast metabolism so I could look good at my wedding, because I'm going to do this once and we're going to Maui and I want to look amazing. And I was eating the best diet to be overweight and sick. It's called hospital food. If you want to be sick and overweight, you eat that stuff. It is good for hospital business. You eat that, you're going to be at the hospital. So I was wearing that long white coat that covered everything, but I wanted to look beautiful for our wedding. And I asked him to help me with my diet. And he had to make changes for me because I was the first vegetarian he ever met. I'd been a vegetarian since I was a kid, but very processed dairy, eggs, bag of Doritos, just not healthy. So he combined what his work had been up until that point with my personal convictions and limitations about diet. And I did that diet. And it worked. Within 3 months, I went from a size 11 to a size 3. I was totally ripped, abs, looked amazing. But for the first time since I'd been diagnosed with lupus, I'd been sick for 12 years at this point with kidney failure, blood clots, arthritis, all of those things for 12 years. For the first time, I had no headaches, no aches and pains, tons of energy. I felt amazing. I was working 30-hour shifts overnight as an intern in the hospital, and I'd have so much energy I could go to the gym after the hospital. That's not normal if you don't have lupus. Definitely not normal if you do. And then right before our wedding, I went to get my blood tests drawn, and they were negative for lupus. So that first test, this month, I'm actually celebrating 17 years since that test, and I've never had a relapse of lupus. I've had 2 beautiful, healthy children. I have never had a relapse in my labs. My kidneys went back to normal after 12 years. I have normal, perfect kidneys. My blood tests are normal for my kidneys. My urine tests are normal. It's like it never happened. And it was going on for 12 years of my life. So after we had my first son, we realized when the lupus didn't come back, and after giving birth, I was back in my pre-pregnancy genes within 9 days. We proved his metabolism theory. And we also proved that metabolism must mean something more than just whether you can lose fat or gain muscle, but perhaps it has to do with your cell's abilities to respond to what it needs to do, repair damage, immune function. So we spent years examining what happened to me, what I did, what I ate, to see if we could discover what it was that caused it, because we don't really believe it's ethical to just tell people, do what I did, I got better, which is what you find all over the internet. You don't know if you got better because of what you did, in spite of what you did. Was it love, right? Like, does my husband need to meet each person and anoint them? Like, what was it, right? And so we wanted to figure out scientifically, what is the impact of nutrition on cellular function, cellular repair, and the immune system? And what we found was that we had accidentally, between the two of us, put me on the most anti-inflammatory, nutritionally healing protocol possible. And then we tested it, and we could get the same results. Only when we proved we could get that same result with everybody else did we decide to share it. And we decided to release it to the public for free, because we believed it should be a human right to have access to that information. So since we've done that, thousands of people all over the world have reversed diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and multiple sclerosis. And, I actually just posted yesterday a video of someone who I found on YouTube. YouTube recommended a video, and it's somebody who read my books, and she reversed her MS, and she got her vision back after 10 years without her vision. And it came back from drinking my smoothies, right? And so it's just been a beautiful gift that everything I've ever been through, I'm able to help people save their life. And my husband always says he gets to save their wife. But
I love that.
It's become our purpose together to, one, live all out and enjoy the gifts we have, but two, to make sure we give them to as many people as we can as well.
I want to just stop the clock and say how amazing. You said yes to love, yes to happiness in this moment, and your life could have been so different. And there are so many right now who are in that same revolving door of having to make a decision where they're on that treadmill that keeps them on the treadmill, or they can do a whole different pathway that brings them these incredible gifts that you've just shared with us, having children, having
and I want to talk about that before we get too far into it, because we want to talk about the smoothie. I want to talk about now what's the next step? What is the recommendation, and what did you discover?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say, just to comment on what you brought out, what I teach my patients and my wellness clients is I believe that your heart is your GPS to your purpose. So when things make you feel happy, joyful, fascinated, excited, that's your heart saying, continue straight. Like, you're going to, right? When you come up with resistance where things feel painful or unhealthy or wrong, take next left, make a U-turn, right? So I really believe our heart is connected to our purpose and our passion. And I've always said yes to that. And I was raised that way. My parents even said, find the job that makes you happy that you would do for free. You will always find your way. So I was also very blessed to be raised that way, that's really our connection to that joy matters. And I found it's always been connected to purpose. And I'll say it just because I teased it before, even meeting my husband, I met him when I was on a date with somebody else. It was a first date, and the man was rude. And I don't waste time being unhappy. A lot of people would go on a bad date, wait till it's over, and then complain. I just said, you know what, you're being very rude and condescending. So the date's over, and thank you. I will find my way back to my own car. But the music was wonderful. So I said, I'm going to stay and enjoy the music and dance, but this part's over. So I did. I left the date and I danced all night and I had a wonderful time. And when I went to get a glass of water, my husband was sitting there. He normally wouldn't have been out that night, but he went out because a friend begged him to, because he was having a breakup. And because he was there and I was there, I sat down and talked to him, and our hearts connected. So because I wasn't willing to be miserable even for a moment, and I wasn't going to let myself suffer from somebody else's negativity, it gave me that opportunity I might have missed to then connect with my true purpose for being at that place on that day, which was to meet my soulmate. So yeah, I'm very much connected to my heart.
And folks, I'll just say it right now. If you're listening here, this is the message we've been giving for years and years. You have a choice of what to do. You have a choice to choose these kinds of things. And you just heard it from her.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. But I can tell you about the smoothies. So science is all connected through all of this. When it comes to cellular function, right? There's certain things that you are a bag of cells all working together, right? And you have about 100 trillion of them. And it takes a lot of damage for you to even feel sick, right? You can carry thousands, millions, maybe even trillions of cells that are damaged and sick. You don't notice it till you hit that critical threshold where you go, ooh, I have a pain. But meanwhile, that pain was caused by enough illness building up, right, that you actually got there. So, sorry, I get choked up talking about my husband and then, sorry. So you've got this illness that's built up inside of you. Now we have to repair that damage. And the good news is what I've learned is that it's never too late. Your cells are programmed to repair themselves. Like a Lego set has the directions. You need the directions, then you need the Legos, right? If you're missing one of the pieces, now you're stuck. Same thing with cellular repair. So you need vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, phytoenzymes. There's omega-3 fatty acids, all these different things you need for cellular repair. And the protocol we created is called Hypernourishment, because what we do is we intentionally overdose you in the nutrients your body uses for cellular repair. So what that does is that creates this fast metabolism where you can, if your goal is to lose fat easily or build muscle quickly, it's going to work. Or if you need to repair damage, it's going to work for that. And when the damage gets repaired, it just gets better at dealing with threats as they come in. Like if you get a cold or a flu, right, that you should be able to quickly handle it and be better. Aging is a function of breaking down cells over time. If you have more nutrition, you're going to age more slowly. You're going to reverse the aging process in all the organs in your body, including your skin, but more importantly, the ones on the inside that keep you moving. So the way we overdose people, a simple way to do it is with green smoothies. And you say, I always have one, and this is not a prop. I was just drinking this. This is my smoothie. But the easiest way to hypernourish is through a straw, because a lot of people aren't used to eating the foods that give them the density of nutrition you need to stimulate this repair process. The highest dose of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, all that stuff that I want you to have comes from cruciferous vegetables and dark leafy greens. So like spinach, kale, chard, broccoli, all these things that people don't tend to eat very much of, I want them to eat a lot of. So what we found is if we can stuff the greens into a blender and you fill it up like 75%, you just shove them in there, use your elbow, use your foot, whatever you can, and just shove those greens in like 75% full. Omega-3s, you grab a handful of flax or chia seeds, put that in there. Add some water. Water is a key ingredient for cellular repair. People who are dehydrated don't heal quickly. They need that ingredient. You don't need more coffee, you need more water, right? Put the water in there. Then with the remaining space, you add your favorite fruits, banana, frozen mango, pineapple, cherries, grapes, apples. Make it taste lovely. So you blend that up, put a straw in it, and you just drink that throughout the day. So that even if you add it to a diet that's not optimal, you're now adding the nourishment your body needs to actually be able to repair the damage. And it's incredible how decades of damage can be repaired rather quickly and people can go back to normal health. It's an incredible thing that I see over and over again. But it can be that simple. Now, if you don't like smoothies, you can eat it. Back when I did it, I didn't know about smoothies, and I ate like 2 pounds of broccoli and cauliflower a day, just dipping it in guacamole, which if you give me guacamole, I can eat anything. So just dip it in and I ate it and it worked. But most people, they prefer this. You can make it taste like mango, pineapple, banana. You can drink it down and you can go about your business without having to put a lot of mental energy into how am I going to get all this food in.
I love what you said about our body has the ability to repair no matter what condition you are starting from. And I can see how this is just like an Energizer Bunny drink. Right?
Well, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, most people have never felt that when you get a dose of just, especially when you have a higher power blender like the Vitamix that just breaks open all the cell walls, you drink it and you're just getting a super dose of vitamins and minerals. It's an amazing, incredible experience. A lot of people walk around feeling tired all day. And the reason you're tired is either you're not getting enough sleep, you're malnourished, or you're dehydrated. When you fix the hydration and the nourishment issue and you make sure you get your sleep, you'd be amazed how much energy you can have and how good it feels. That's why I'm so addicted to it. I can't ever give this up because it feels so good. But, damage can be caused by a lot of things. We have stress, emotional stress, very damaging. Majority of people I work with have had significant emotional trauma in their life. I'm a trauma specialist. And so when you've had significant emotional trauma, depression, anxiety, it causes damage to the cells. It affects the way your immune system functions. So a lot of people with depression, anxiety, and emotional trauma have autoimmune disease or other diseases like cancers and heart disease and other things. So those things can cause damage. And the wrong diet not only causes damage, but deprives you of the ingredients you need to heal the damage. So I really have a very holistic approach where I work with people on let's heal the moods, let's heal the foods, right? We got to do all of those things together. And when you do that, your body has just a remarkable ability to come back. I joke sometimes that I'm in the resurrection business because a lot of the people come to me, they've got like 10% of a kidney functioning, they've got glaucoma, they've got diabetes, all these things, and a lot of them are barely moving. And then after just a matter of weeks, they are back. I mean, I had a guy in his 70s recently who had glaucoma, 5 weeks in, normal vision. Just saw a post today of someone who did, I have something called rapid recovery where people work with me every day for 4 to 6 weeks. She did rapid recovery with me for lupus 3 years ago. She's been in remission ever since, just had a baby, no relapse, never had a relapse. Her twin sister did it while pregnant, and she also healed herself. It's incredible that it doesn't really matter what the disease is because the nutrition is not specific for the disease. It's specific for cellular repair. So if you take good care of your mental health, you make sure you get enough sleep and you nourish yourself properly, your body can really come back from a lot more than you think.
I want to let people know that the website goodbyelupus.com, if you go to that website, that's where you're going to find a lot of more information. And then there is this incredible opportunity to get free recipes from another site, and it's called smoothieshred.com. So that's smoothieshred.com, SMOOTHIESHRED.com. So
that's a free website my husband made for the public. It has free recipes, instructional videos, and all of it. Like you don't have to log in. You don't have to put your email address in. It's completely a public service. So there's a lot of great information there for people.
So this is so incredible.
It really
that
is. It's wonderful.
We have access now to not just nurture our soul and our emotions, but our bodies, because we're here. And Kryon has said we're meant to be on the planet for a very, very long time.
That's right.
And this
I would say, you might be a spiritual being, but you're living in a physical body.
Yes.
Right.
So you do have to take care of this part.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. I agree.
Absolutely. And it couldn't be more simpler. Suck through a straw. I mean, how hard can that be?
I like it already. We're at this point where we have a couple minutes left, and we'd love to you just say, if you had an address and you had to give it in very short to everybody, what would you say?
I think that it's really important to consider the impact of what you do for yourself on the people who care about you. A lot of times people feel like it's selfish to look after their own health, to do self-care, to take the effort and the expense it takes to eat well or to get the help they need for themselves. But it's really important that you consider how many people actually need you and love you. And I think it's pretty big. I mean, there might be people in your circle, kids or parents or siblings or friends. But also, I believe each of us was born with a gift that we were meant to give this world that we can't give if we are sick. So really taking great care of yourself is the most important thing you can do for everybody else who needs you here. So just try, even if it's adding what you're missing, even if it's adding a smoothie to a McDonald's diet, start taking just whatever step you can towards that. And remember that taking care of you is actually better for everybody else as well.
So beautifully said. Thank you so
wonderful.
much, Brooke. It reminds me of one of Kryon's quotes, one of my favorites. I take care of myself first, and the honor of my journey is passed on to others in synchronous ways. So thank you, Brooke, for being
Awesome.
such an amazing guest.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Wonderful. So we are now going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll see you back here for the Circle of 12.